try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the Vietnam War. The government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee and Crypto. Guys, what's going on? Jebb here. In today's video, we are going to be bringing you the latest and greatest on the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets. As you guys know, Bitcoin is down 11% over the last 24 hours, currently trading at $23,600 at 10 a.m. Eastern, which is when Coffee and Crypto goes live, week daily. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. Guys, we have a lot to talk about today. Bitcoin has dropped substantially over the weekend, dropped from where it was trading and ranging around $30,000 last week to down to $23,600. We're going to be discussing this Bitcoin crash in today's video, and we're also going to be asking some very important questions like, has Bitcoin code malfunctioned? Has the US banned Bitcoin? No, they haven't. We're going to talk about all of these things and more. Why did this crash happen? How long is it going to last? And should you be fudding out of your crypto, or should you be keeping a hawkish eye on the hawkishness of the Fed over the next couple of months as interest rates continue to wreak havoc on the cryptocurrency market? I am joined for the first time in several Coffee and Cryptos by TA Tim. Welcome back, Tim. What did you do? You left and the price crashed. Dude.
I know. I had a mission and I failed.
Oof.
You want to hear a really sad story about my hat that everyone calls my XRP hat, but it's my Under Armour hat?
Yeah.
We were scootering in Austin, Texas, because I went to Consensus.
You're scootering, okay.
And a gust of wind hit.
No.
And it took the hat, and I turned around, and it flew under a car, like in massive. I was like, it's gone. Fallen soldier.
Is that a sign that you're not
So the
supposed
hat
to
is
be
gone.
investing in XRP?
Someone in Austin, luckily, someone found my hat, I bet, and it's probably dirty as I'll get out now underneath those cars. But
got stuck under a car. Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens to TA Tim's hat, if anybody was wondering. We're also joined, as always, by Smay. How you doing, Smay?
I'm doing, guys, and I just want to say, I need to scoot a little bit. Oh, this way.
Scooch.
All right. Wow, gosh, I feel weird. Anyways, I didn't sleep last night at all, but I feel great. You know, it's really weird. That is, all-nighter, but I feel good. I have energy. I'm probably going to crash really hard at like 3 p.m. or something like that.
You'll be okay.
But I would like to say some green names because I love all of you guys. So we have Crypto Sec Guy, Siobhan Goulet, Elliot Locke, Matt C, Kasha Katz, Sultan of Salt, Siobhan Goulet again, Ooh. Ricardo Vinegas, Matt C, Why You Loud, and Grand Roof Incorporated and Groovy, and all of you guys. I love all of you guys so much. Back to you, Jebb.
Heck yeah. Well, guys, before we jump into it, we got a word from our sponsor. As you guys know, I Trust Capital is a company that we've been working with quite diligently here in the cryptocurrency space, and we're very proud to be brought to you partially by them. I Trust Capital is the #1 provider of retirement account services in the cryptocurrency space. If you sign up with the link in the description box down below, you will be able to get an IRA with a $100 funding bonus. So make sure you sign up today and start reaping some of those tax advantages from investing with an IRA or another form of a retirement account here in the cryptocurrency space. Let's go ahead and jump on into our market pulse. The first thing I want to show you guys is the dramatic rise in Bitcoin's dominance over just the last couple of weeks. You can see the entire history going back to 2013 of total market capitalization dominance, and you can see Bitcoin for a long time was trading or ranging between 80 and 100% market dominance, but then of course the altcoins started to grow rapidly in 2017 and never looked back. And over the last couple of weeks, we have seen Bitcoin's market dominance absolutely take off. In May, the beginning of May, just a month ago, it was sitting at 41%. As of today, it's currently sitting at 47.5%. This has come at the expense of multitudes of cryptocurrencies. Ethereum is down by 4%. That's where a lot of that went. You can also see the other category here dropped off a cliff in May when Bitcoin bottomed out. It dropped from 19% to 16%. That means all of the other cryptocurrencies besides Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, USD Coin, Binance USD, Cardano, XRP, Solana, and Dogecoin, those other cryptocurrencies dropped off the metaphorical cliff. And in the span of just a couple of weeks, we have seen a lot of value leave Ethereum even faster than we saw it leave Bitcoin. Same thing with those others. And then we can also see right here that Tether has gone from 6% market dominance all the way up to 7%. Now, that's very interesting. And the reason that we want to pay attention to that is because that speaks volumes about what people are doing with their cryptocurrency. You know, going back a month and a week ago, Tether was at 4.6%. Now it's at 7.19. So what we're seeing right now, and the trend is that we're seeing people take cryptocurrency take valuation out of that other category, out of the Ethereum category, and out of a lot of your favorite cryptocurrencies, and they're putting that valuation into things like Bitcoin, and they're putting them into things like stable coins, because I'm also here to tell you it's not just Tether, the stable coin, that has gone up in market capitalization and in dominance. We've also seen the others. You can see USD coin and Binance USD right here. All three of them have had market increases in their balances, in their dominance, and that speaks to where the value in cryptocurrency is flowing. Tim, why would you think that the altcoins are losing valuation, but that valuation seems to be flowing into the stable coins?
That's a great question. I don't know. That's something I got to look into a little bit more. I would have thought the money would flow from stablecoins into maybe more of those trusted altcoins, especially after, at the conference at Consensus, we actually were in one of the sessions where there were several different congressmen and women talking about stablecoins. That's the top thing they want to cover right now. But I would have thought a lot of people would want to stay away from stablecoins. I don't know why that metric is that way, but it's good to see.
I'll tell you why I think it's happening, and I could be totally wrong, but this is my opinion. By the way, if you're enjoying today's stream, smash the living daylights out of that like button, guys. Let's see if we can't get to 400 likes here in the next couple of minutes. We already got 1,300 people watching. Thank you so very much for tuning in. You got questions, we got answers. Today is the day. Make sure to keep watching. Why would we see more valuation flowing into stablecoins, and what does it have to do with the crash on Bitcoin? Here's the deal. A lot of people right now are exiting those altcoins that they see as speculative. And the reason that that's significant is because we are seeing a constriction on the market. We are seeing what T-Shroom, one of our researchers, and he was on the stream the last 3 days, last week, what he is calling a Darwinian event. A lot of the different cryptocurrencies in the cryptocurrency space are getting ousted right now. Many of them are down over 90%, and many of them deserve to be down over 90%. Most of the altcoins that were extremely popular a year ago simply did not deserve to be where they were. And the fact of the matter is, people are starting to realize that, and they're wanting to become more risk averse. We're seeing this all around the world in every single market, not just in cryptocurrency, but people are starting to become more risk averse to the cryptocurrency markets because they want to hold on to what they have. With rising interest rates, with inflation being out of control, with the Fed's balance sheet still being very high, it's very difficult for people to afford basic necessities in this economy. So they want to make sure that they are protecting themselves from what they perceive as risky altcoins. And this has a couple of implications. Number one, it means a lot of the altcoins that were big in 2020 and 2021 will likely not be during the next bull market. Now, they might not die, they might stick around, but a lot of people are going to start pivoting towards projects that proved themselves in 2021 fundamentally and technologically, not so much price-wise, because people are going to realize, wait a minute, there are very valuable projects that were built in 2021 that started to become extremely popular in 2021, Cardano being one of them. However, people do not feel safe right now to be investing in those different projects. And that also speaks to the fact that there are still people in the cryptocurrency space that need to be shaken out. You know, we're sitting on Bitcoin at $23,400, which we've been calling ever since we broke down to $30,000 a month and a half ago. We've been saying that we were going to go down to 22, and it looks like that's what's going to happen now, because if you look out to the weekly chart, you're going to see that that's where our support level is. Just right here at $22,500, we could go down another $1,000, and then boom, we would have hit it. A lot of people are still getting shaken out. A lot of people in the altcoin space are still getting shaken out. Frankly, a lot of people in the Bitcoin space are still getting shaken out. Queen, you're in chat. I see you. You keep saying bedrock present. I love it. You're referencing a show we made on Wednesday of last week, I believe it was, where we talked about how the wind and the waves and the water, they come and they wipe away the topsoil, and then what we're left with is the bedrock, and from that bedrock we can build. And right now, we are seeing more and more topsoil get pushed away, shoveled away, get washed away so that we can build our skyscraper, which is $1 million Bitcoin, on bedrock. And I'm here to tell you that the bedrock is close. I do believe that bedrock is close, and we're going to look at it from a technical point of view at the beginning of this show. And then moving on into the latter half of this show, we're going to look at it from a fundamental point of view. But just so you know, I am just as confident today as I always have been on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down 65% right now from all-time high. I have watched it go down 85% from all-time high in the span of a year, and I've seen it drop 50% in a day. I'm not scared of a drop on Bitcoin, nor should you be. And by the way, when we're going and evangelizing Bitcoin, what does it show to the world if we're evangelizing Bitcoin and we're doing it like this? Hey Tim, I think you should buy Bitcoin, but I don't know about. I just sold all of mine because I'm kind of scared about it. But you should buy some Bitcoin. What does it show to the world when we're trying to preach the good word of Bitcoin out of fear? If you are fearful right now, I encourage you to remember one thing. Why did you get into Bitcoin in the first place? If you've gotten into Bitcoin for the wrong reason, you'll be scared. If you've gotten into Bitcoin in the wrong way, you'll be scared. If you got into Bitcoin the right way and for the right reasons, you will have peace. Tim, I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I just said. How do we go forth and evangelize Bitcoin? Then let's look at the charts.
Yeah, I think people need to understand. We were talking about it in our planning meeting this morning. Volatility goes two ways. Everybody loves the volatility that goes to the upside. They hate the downside. You got to take the bad with the good to make money. One of our guys that works here named Malachi, he's a student actually at UF, but super, super brilliant. Him and I were talking about this one day, and he was talking about the way he got into Bitcoin was and how he's learning about economics and investing and properly. The things you're looking for is the risky assets. When it's risky, that gives you the potential for a higher upside. And unfortunately, right now is the downside of the whole volatility of Bitcoin, and it is making people freak out. But guess what? What goes down will go up, especially if the fundamentals are strong. And what do we have with Bitcoin? Extremely strong fundamentals. In fact, every single day, even as the price starts to dip, the fundamentals only get stronger and stronger. The reason for being in Bitcoin gets stronger and stronger, but it only matters if that makes sense to you and if you have a strong why. Just like Jebb said, this is the time that you got to dig deep into your guts and pull that why out and not just respond to the fear that's building up because the market's in the red.
Absolutely, guys. And by the way, thank you for all of those likes. We already have over 1,100 likes. Heck yeah, I don't know where that came from. That's a lot. I am very proud of you guys. Thank you so very much. Let's go ahead and jump onto the chart right now. As you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading at $23,350. And it's pretty funny, actually, because that was the price target of a bear flag that we drew last week. If you'll look right here, you can see that we drew this bear flag during the stream. I forget which stream it was. And then if you extrapolate this was actually calling for a very quick drop down to 22,500. We were a little bit skeptical. Okay, are we going to go down to 22.5 right away? Didn't really seem like it, but the problem that we were running into and that we talked about was that Bitcoin was trading sideways here and not actually trying to go through that rally up to $37,000, $38,000. Instead, it was just simply trading sideways. And so we were starting to wonder, okay, are we just going to break bearish right now? And it looks like that is what has occurred. If we look at the daily chart, we can see that Bitcoin has not only broken this downtrending level of support, which was the support of this falling wedge that it was in, it's also crossed bearish on the daily chart MACD, and RSI has dropped down to 26, indicating extreme oversold. Bitcoin being extremely oversold, but also the bears being extremely powerful. We've also seen the Lux oscillator, which was going green, has now turned red, and that indicates that it is very much in a downtrend, and any hope of it going into a new rally has been reset. Hasn't been dashed. We can still go into a rally, but the buildup for that has now been reset. If we look down here on the 4-hourly chart as well with Lux Algo, and by the way, guys, if you don't have Lux Algo, you absolutely need to get it. You are missing out. Then it's going to show us that there was a strong sell signal right here, and that I do believe was confirmed by Trend Catcher. We'll go ahead and turn on Trend Catcher, and we'll also turn on take profits and stop loss positions. You can see when this turns on that we actually went all the way through our stop losses here on the red. I'm sorry, no, we didn't. We actually saw that there was a take profit all the way down here at $22,000, and that indicates to us that Lux Algo was saying when it went into this strong sell signal, whoa, guys, we're going to drop really far here. We saw the strong sell signal, we saw a red trend catcher, and then probably in the last 24 hours or so, these take profit signals would have updated and dropped all the way down here. Guys, if you don't have Lux Algo, you are missing out. Make sure to get it. You can use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, for 20% off with the link in the description box down below. But I do have a level of support that we can kind of draw here that might give us some answers. If we look at this downtrending level of support right here, we're connecting this bottom back over here in June of 21, this bottom right here in June of 2022. So we're connecting two bottoms that are a year apart, and then also some price action over here. Then that gives us this bottom. And then I do believe we could also draw a level of support somewhere along right here from all-time high all the way down to where we are right now. As you can see right here, this would connect our first all-time high, our bottom right here in January, and then this bottom right here. Either way, we do have support beneath us, and we even see that showing up in the form of $20,000. We've started to get close enough to 20K where that does become relevant. And of course, don't forget, out on the weekly chart, there is also, too, the very important level, which is the 200 weekly simple moving average, which is currently sitting right here at $22,500. Now, the question that we have to entertain now is this. If Bitcoin drops from all-time high down to the 200 weekly simple moving average, as it has done so many times in past, let's take a look here at the BLX, Brave New Coin Liquid Index history for Bitcoin. We can see that Bitcoin has always dropped 85% down to the 200 weekly simple moving average. We saw it happen in this bear market. Then in this bear market, I lived through this bear market. And then we also saw a drop of 72% right here, and that was a drop below the 200 weekly SMA of 50% in a day. Now, the question is, do we drop 67% from all-time high down to the 200 weekly simple moving average as we did during the previous two bear markets, or do we drop farther below it, 80% or 85% below it, down to $10,000 or $15,000, which would be an equivalent drop below this level right here, because we dropped 28% below there. 28% below there would put us at $16,000. Tim, now that we're seeing so much bearishness and we didn't see our bear flag, I'm sorry, our bull trap that we were talking about, do we need to start considering levels below 20K?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the whole time you have to consider the levels below, and I think that people just need to learn that they need to be prepared for a lot of different things happening. However, you know, when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm not going to be surprised. And we talked about this around the table, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. T-Stream was like, I don't know if we want to get into that. I'll be brief. I'll maybe talk about this in a different video. I don't think 38, I mean, technically 38 is still on the table. I don't think 38 is going to happen. I don't even know if 37 is going to happen. I do think this is kind of like a reset thing. But I potentially believe that we could see Bitcoin rally back up into the mid to low 30s around, again, so if we're moving over this way, I'm on the 4LA chart right here, maybe somewhere and hit this resistance level, somewhere around 36, maybe 35. Maybe we take a little bit more time. We slowly work over there and then dip again. And you want to know why, Jebb?
Why?
Right here. This volume, I've talked about this before. I talked about it on Club DeFi, actually. I was in one of my office hours that I was talking about. I was talking with the people in there about volume. And volume is great because it does help tell you where things are reversing. So this high volume that came in was telling us, hey, we're about to have a reversal right here. This high volume that's coming in, I believe that this volume coming in is, you know, that's the pressure coming down, but it's also the amount of trades going into place are high. I do think a reversal is coming in. We're also seeing right there at a support level. You had it drawn a different way, Jebb, but this is another one I can show here in just a second. I do think we're in a reverse. But here's another thing about high volume. When you see high volume at a bottom, or let's say you see high volume at a top, more often than not, the price will dip or rise and get back to that at some point. I don't think when we say the bottom, I'm going to talk about time-wise right now. So I'm not talking about price. I don't know the exact pinpoint price bottom. But time-wise, this is not the bottom. I believe that we're going to reverse. We're going to head back to the upside, but somewhere down the road, we're going to see at least this level, if not a little lower, matched again. And what I'm looking for to say we are done with this is a bottom price with low volume, and that is not what we have going right now. So for anyone wondering, hey, is this the bottom? No, it's not the bottom. It could be the price of the bottom, but we're at least going to get back to this level at some point. And I would not be surprised, again, to see us climb back up and at least back to this level right here around the low 30s. If not, maybe get into those mid 30s before a crash back down to these same levels before we actually see a rally happen. That kind of fits with the narrative we've been talking about, though. For anyone thinking that we might be about to start a bull run and hit new all-time highs within the next couple months, that likelihood it is possible. but the likelihood is not strong whatsoever. The other thing, so I'll show you on the daily chart what I've redone, and I think this is a good time for people to kind of remember when you're on charts. Sometimes you get stuck at looking at the same thing. So for those of you who have been watching the show for a long time, we've been looking at this kind of angle right here. We've been looking at this line mixed with this line. This resistance line is going to stay the same, but we had a falling wedge going. It's good sometimes to clear your mind, to clear your chart, and start from scratch. And so that's exactly what I did. And I can do it for you guys even here. I just cleared the chart. I was like, let's look at this from a whole new angle. Guess what? This still holds up really nice. This level of resistance still holds really nice. That is still very much in play, which is why, again, I think we're going to start rallying this way. But we've clearly broken through right here on the daily chart. We had a candle close below that level of resistance. So that's why I really wanted to start over with support. I saw somebody else draw this line, but I hadn't actually done it myself, and it actually fits this wick perfectly. So I'm going to talk about wicks, and I'm going to talk about points. But right now, let's just take these two wicks right here. So I'm talking about this. You guys see my spinning? Yeah, there we go. That's fun. This wick right here that we had back on January, about 23rd, 22nd, somewhere in there. And then let's start with the wick that we had here just a little bit ago. So sure enough, we have the wick touching right there. But guess what else is in this area? If I do this here, let me fix it just a little bit. We also are sitting right there around the point, the peak back that we had April of 2021. That peak is actually in correlation. Remember, when you're doing technical analysis, you want to keep things from the past in perspective because those lines are significant. And right now, we are playing a key level of support that started as resistance back at the peak, and now we turn into support. This is a line I would say we need to keep our eyes on this and watch. Again, there's a lot of different reasons to think that we could potentially start to rally, one of which we're sitting at the line. But also, if you pull up, which let me get this out of the way. I don't know why that's standing right there. Bollinger Bands TD sequential. We are massively overextended. As we start to see these smaller charts, we are massively overextended on these charts. First of all, Bollinger Bands, we've not only been overextended to the downside for a long time, but we also have TD sequential that flashed a 9 way back here with several yellow candles. Just so you guys know, on TD sequential, those yellow candles are usually screaming for reversal. Yes, we're still going down. Yes, there's, I can't tell you this is the bottom perfectly, but the fact that we are that massively overextended, the fact that we're sitting at a key level of support, the fact that there is a lot of fear in the market, and guess what? When there's fear in the market, that's when those whales like to scoop in and buy some. I would not be surprised to see over the next couple of days, actually start to form some green candles on this 4-hourly chart, if not also the daily chart as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we are going to see some green at some point in the next couple of probably the next several hours, maybe on into the next couple of days. As you can see here on the 4-hourly chart, there is a lot of red going on. That red indicates that there's a ton of volume, and as Tim will tell you, that doesn't always indicate that the absolute bottom is in, but a lot of times that does mean that some kind of change in direction could be imminent. Normally, when you see a bottom or a top locally, you will see some volume, but also, it is possible to see it with no volume, and a lot of times that might mean that you're finding the final bottom or the final top, but in this case, a lot of times it will mean that there is a reversal coming in some capacity. Right now, Bitcoin is absolutely dropping very quickly, and that's likely going to get overextended very, very easily. As you can see on the RSI, it's almost literally off the charts. We're at 15.5. We've not seen RSI that low ever since May the 9th, and to find RSI going as low as either one of these points on Bitcoin, you're going to have to go back a multitude of years. I'm talking a very long time just to go back and see how long it takes. But the last time we saw RSI on the 4-hourly chart drop this far was March of 2020 when the pandemic drop came into play. That's how long it's been since we've seen RSI drop to 15.5, other than the drop we saw on May the 9th, which was a month ago. So we're getting very overextended right now. And by the way, it's also important to note that this RSI getting very overextended is building bullish RSI divergence on the 4-hourly chart. We have a bearish downtrending level of support here on the 4-hourly chart, bullish uptrending level of support here on the 4-hourly chart. That bullish RSI divergence could be one of the things that catapults us back up into a new rally, not to all-time high or anything, but into a new rally and into a newfound bottom. So definitely pay attention to that. And guys, we're going to talk about this here a little bit in a second, but make absolutely sure that you're paying very close attention to the news and the fundamentals over the next several days and the next several weeks, because they are having a big impact on the price right now. Does Bitcoin's fundamental value proposition change at all whenever the Fed makes an announcement? No. But it does exemplify why Bitcoin was created, and it does change whether or not people are willing to buy right now. So there's always going to be an impact from fundamentals on the price action of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's core code has not been changed whatsoever in any negative way. Of course, there are updates that come out every once in a while through Bitcoin improvement proposals. Those are called BIPs. But whenever you see anything happen to the price action of Bitcoin, it does not reflect anything bad happening to the fundamental underlying code of Bitcoin. It speaks to the fact that Bitcoin is still an emerging asset, and just like any asset, emerging or otherwise, it is going to be impacted by other forces in the global economy because Bitcoin does not live in a bubble. But let's go ahead and jump on into some super chats, and also maybe we'll have some time to read some regular chat, and we're going to jump into our discussion thereafter.
I see two here. One from Butch Ditburner saying, do you believe in the 4-year cycles?
Well, the 4-year cycle, yeah, I do, because they've played out 3 times, but the 4-year cycle theory, I think, is going to be losing a lot of its pressure, a lot of its steam, and the reason for that is because every time Bitcoin goes through a halving event, well, it becomes half as important. We saw Bitcoin block sizes go from 12.5 to 6.25 Bitcoin per block. Now we're going to see them go to 3.125 sometime in 2024. I believe it's slated to be in March. It's not based on a date. It's based on block time, so we don't know the exact date before it happens, but we know that it's going to be sometime in 2024 unless something very strange happens to the block time and the hashing algorithms of Bitcoin. Point is, when that does occur, it cutting in half from 6.25 naturally is only half of as big of a change as a cut in half from 12.5. So whenever we see the halving event happen every 4 years, in my opinion, it becomes less and less important. And on top of that, the total amount of Bitcoin that is currently in circulation continues to rise as mining is occurring. So in 2 directions, you're having that halving event become less and less important because it's not changing the supply as much because it's being cut in half, the change is, and also the total amount of supply is increasing, which means that the change itself, no matter whether it was changing or not, becomes less relevant because it's smaller in proportion to the change. So my point is, yes, I do think it'll have an impact. The halving, the 4-year cycle theory, I think this cycle may play out in a way that we've seen before, but I don't think it will be as relevant moving on into the future as the number, every factor that I just mentioned is coming into play.
Crypto Set Guy, who's now been a Jebb Padawan for 9 months, said,
Whoa.
Tim and Matt C., now that you guys have been to both, which one are you more excited for next year, Bitcoin 2023 or Consensus 2023?
Ooh.
So Matt's going to have to answer that one in chat. I don't know if he already did. I think that Bitcoin 2022, I'll start with there, was run better. There were a lot of people in Austin. First of all, the city of Austin, I don't think was ready. Maybe they'll be more ready next time. It was chaos. Way too many people, and then the restaurants, there were several restaurants that had like 1 cook and 1 waiter trying to wait on like 60 people.
Oh my gosh!
It was pretty ridiculous. They weren't ready. I think that I'm going to say Bitcoin. Even though if you told me, Tim, which city would you rather go to? They're both hot. They're both crazy. Yeah. But I would prefer Austin, I think. I'm not the biggest fan of Miami, but I think the conference itself, the way that it was put on, I thought that Bitcoin 2022 was better than Consensus. But next year could change. Maybe Consensus is better next year. I don't know. But I think I'm looking way more forward to Bitcoin 2023 than I am Consensus in 2023.
Boom. There you go.
Let me see. Illum 1. I mean, it's going to be a play on Illuminati, but it's Illum 1N4T. Okay. Hi, guys. I know miners sold Bitcoin for covering the costs. Did you guys did you guys watch Bitfinex Bitcoin longs? Are whales waiting?
We are going to be talking about longs here in a second, but I can bring up the Bitfinex longs chart if you would like. Let's go ahead and look at this. You can see over here on the daily chart, the longs have absolutely moonshot ever since April of 2022, and we have seen them increase from 40,000 all the way to 104,000. That's 168%. And then also just over the last 2 days, you can see that they're up 14%. 13,000 new longs have been implemented. And that actually does make a lot of sense because people are probably betting that the bottom is either close or is in. And if people are entering, let's say, a 2x leverage trade right now, well, then their liquidation price on Bitcoin is going to be $12,500 or $11,500. Most people aren't expecting Bitcoin to go that low, so it would make sense that people are longing because it's easier to get in with 2 or 3x leverage. by this dip because people are starting to become very confident that we're close to the bottom, or at least that the bottom is going to be higher than whatever their liquidation price would be. So that actually does make a lot of sense to me that the longs are going up over there. You need to be very careful about longing on leverage right now, because one of the things we're going to be talking about here in a little bit is how there was a $500 million in liquidations in a 24-hour period as Bitcoin plunged to 25 and now 23.3. This is something that we'll get into in a second. The point that I want to make to you is that longing on a very low amount of leverage and then holding that long for a very long time, if your exchange allows you to do that and will not have, it will not kick you out of your leverage trade, as a lot of exchanges will for the sake of them preserving capital. If you're able to do that, it might be an option for you if you're an advanced and experienced and skilled trader. But if you're not and you don't know what you're doing, then you should be very careful about that and continue to dollar cost average. That would be my non-financial advice. I think we have time for one more question, unless you want to add to that yourself, Tim.
No, I think that's good. I think that's all of our super chats.
I think it's all the super chats.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and move on. We'll have more here later in a bit.
Good deal. All right, guys. Well, what's the big idea here? Everything's going to be okay. Bitcoin is down substantially right now. As you guys know, Bitcoin is currently trading at $23,394 and change. And whenever that market drops, whenever Bitcoin drops, whenever the cryptocurrency market crashes, many people are tempted to get very scared, to get very fearful. They're tempted to leave the space. You know, one of the things that we do whenever Bitcoin drops is we often make a video titled, I've been doing this for like 4 years, titled, if you're thinking about leaving Bitcoin, watch this video first. And we almost always get so many positive comments on that, because the thing I tell you in every single drop, I've been saying this since Q1 of 2018, when Bitcoin dropped down to $6,000. If you are thinking about leaving Bitcoin, hang on a second. Number one, get your eyes off the present. Get your eyes on the future. And number two, even more important than that, get your eyes off the price and get your eyes on the why. Why was Bitcoin founded? Let me ask you that question, and I actually want to hear your answer. It's going to take me a second to lay out my point. So while I'm doing that, tell me in chat, why was Bitcoin created? Why do you believe Bitcoin was created? Not why are you in Bitcoin, but why was Bitcoin created? Because we should be in an asset for the reason that it was made, or else we're going against its founding philosophy, and we're going to run into a lot of friction there. So why do you believe that Bitcoin was created? Let me lay out the problem. It's January 3rd, 2009. We have just seen the entire global economy collapse in the biggest economic downturn that we had seen since at least the dot-com era 9-10 years earlier, but honestly, probably since the 80s. The economy had just gone under some massive turmoil, and a lot of the problem that had occurred were central banks that had the financial sovereignty in their hands rather than in the hands of the individual people. And then when they started screwing up with negative amortization and understanding, hey, if this loan goes belly up, then the government will pay for it. When the banks started making those errors because of the system that they were allowed to operate in, and they went belly up, and we started seeing things like, you know, I'm not going to get into all of it. The point is, 2008 was a disaster. It had to do with a housing bubble, and then what the Federal Reserve did is they came in through quantitative easing, they printed the crap out of the currency, and they dropped interest rates at the beginning, then they had to raise them, and inflation got out of control for a while. It all got under control. I don't think we ever actually solved the problems that we saw in 2008. I think we're seeing a lot of those symptoms prop back up right now, but there was a very serious problem going on in 2009. And Satoshi Nakamoto, he, she, or they, whoever Satoshi is, person, individual, organization, whatever, they realized that the only way that our society can function properly is if you take financial sovereignty out of the hands of banks, government, and the people other than the ones actually spending that currency. Because when people start taking away your financial sovereignty and lording it over you and using your finances like puppet strings over you, then essentially what they're doing is they're cutting you off at the legs and they're taking your ability to make financial decisions for yourselves. Now, I'm not saying that people didn't make bad decisions. There are plenty of people that bought homes in 2006, 7, and 8 that they couldn't afford. That still goes on today. But the point is, there was a massive blunder on behalf of the U.S. federal government, and Bitcoin was the answer. Why Bitcoin? Because financial sovereignty belongs in the hands of the person wielding the currency. Let me say that again. Why Bitcoin? Because financial sovereignty belongs in the hands of the person wielding the currency, because every single time a central authority, be it a bank, a central bank, or a nation state, or a king, has had control over the currency, the temptation to clip the coin, inflate the currency, and then use that inflation to pay for whatever they want, be it wars, social programs, expansion, a new castle. It doesn't matter. The temptation has always been there and will always be there, so it must be taken away so that governments of the world do not fall into that temptation. By the way, if the ability to inflate the currency were in the hands of the individuals would make that mistake also. That's why the ability to inflate the currency wasn't handed from the government into the hands of the individual. It was handed into the hands of a trustless third-party series of ones and zeros called the Bitcoin SHA-256 hashing algorithm and the Bitcoin code, because nobody can be trusted not to inflate the currency, because we as human beings are naturally inclined towards short-term gratification rather than long-term investment. We must have the ability to inflate the currency for short-term gain taken out of our hands. That's why Bitcoin. So, on a drop like this, where Bitcoin has crashed, and it has crashed, it is down 12% on the day. It is down 65% from all-time high that it set on November the 10th. When you see that occur, I need you to ask yourself and answer yourself one question: why Bitcoin? Let me ask you another question. Has anything fundamentally changed? Has a word of what I just said changed at all when Bitcoin dropped? A word of it, any of it? Has the price of Bitcoin changing had any impact on why Bitcoin was founded? No. In fact, if anything, it's only exemplified why Bitcoin was founded, because Bitcoin dropping is a result of what? It's a result of flawed U.S. monetary policy. It's a result of flawed European Central Bank monetary policy. It's a result of the currency getting inflated into oblivion. The U.S. dollar is inflated 8.6% as reported by CPI. I would argue it's probably more like 30%, maybe 40%. Gas prices crossed $5 a gallon on the national average last week. I bought gas for $1.49 in 2020. It was averaging $2.10. The economy has massively increased. I bought a new car 13 months ago. I put 27,000 miles on it since then. It gets 31 miles a gallon. If at current gas prices, I would have paid nearly $4,000 in gas in a year. That is what the U.S. people are dealing with. In Europe, people are dealing with $10 a gallon. Those fundamentals have changed. Bitcoin's fundamentals have not. Do you see the difference there? Bitcoin's fundamentals are the same because they were hard-coded into an indestructible, unchangeable sequence of code so that they could not change. However, the global economy keeps shifting. Why? Why does it keep shifting? Probably because us humans in central authority and in power think that we can control it. We can't. The only successful monetary system that has ever been founded was Bitcoin. There's been ones that have grown, but the only one that has been flawless has been Bitcoin. Period. So, everything is going to be okay. Why? Because why Bitcoin has not changed. The good news of Bitcoin, which is that we have financial sovereignty taken out of the hands of central governments, and frankly, us, at least in the part of inflating the currency, that part of financial sovereignty has been taken out of our hands. That is why Bitcoin is so valuable. That is why Bitcoin will continue to be valuable. That is why Bitcoin will survive this bear market, and that is why you should consider not freaking out right now, but instead you should consider buying some because you want to be a part of that. Why? Because Bitcoin is the future. Because it puts financial sovereignty where it belongs. As far as the ability to change the currency, that was put in trustless code. As far as the ability to have control over our own finances, that was put in the hands of the individual, and what Bitcoin did was beautiful. Nothing has fundamentally changed. Everything is going to be okay. Tim, has Bitcoin's code malfunctioned?
No. No, if anything, it's getting better.
That was a fast answer.
Isaiah, is there...
No, it's pretty simple. That's pretty straightforward.
I could say that I could go into how the code works, but that's not my expertise. I do not know how the code works.
It's pretty straightforward. Bitcoin's code is not changed. But no. Tim, are miners flooding offline in droves?
No.
In fact, let me just go to blockchain.com real quick and look at the hash rate, because if I remember correctly, it's sitting near an all-time high. Bitcoin hash rate. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at this. Let's see. Are miners flooding off? Oh, look at that. Bitcoin mining is at an all-time high, despite us being down 65% from all-time high. Look at this, 7-day average. Look at the last 3 years. We're currently sitting at 231 million terahash. Previous all-time high was set at 226 million terahash on a very interesting day, May 6th. What happened that day? Let's take a look at May 6th on the chart and see what was going on then. Oh, wait a second. That was like 4 or 5 days before we had a massive crash, down to $26,500. And yet we're sitting at an all-time high on hash rate. What are we worried about? Are we worried about our net worth going down? Your Bitcoin balance hadn't changed. Are you worried about not having money to pay for bills and groceries? Well, then maybe you were over-invested in Bitcoin and crypto. That's a very easy situation to get into. I'm not going to attack you for that, but just consider that for the future. Make sure you're not invested more than you are willing to lose, because it's true. Bitcoin is a very volatile currency. US dollar is very volatile as well, but Bitcoin does move more than the US dollar. Now, if you give it a long enough time horizon, it moves way more than the US dollar, and we're glad because it's moving up against the US dollar. But in the short term, yeah, it is risky to have your entire net worth in Bitcoin and crypto. And if you're in that position, then hey, ride out the storm and then don't get in that situation again. Have peace that you are in a very valuable currency. Tim, has the US banned Bitcoin?
No. If anything, again, I think we're moving closer towards healthy regulation. And right now, there's a debate. Actually, this is a fun fact. We were talking at the conference to the former chair or head of the CFTC, where she was saying, right now, it's actually been agreed upon pretty much. They're still going to make sure they got all the details, but Bitcoin is not going to be a security. Even Gary Gensler has said it's not a security. It's more than likely going to be a commodity. She's the former head of the CFTC, and she was saying, I'm not even sure if Bitcoin is a commodity. I think it should be treated the same as cash. Now, again, she's not in that position of power anymore, but as the former head, that's significant, and she's sitting here debating if Bitcoin should even be that way. I think you're going to be very excited. When we see the regulation finally come out for Bitcoin, we're going to be very excited about it. Altcoins, we'll have to see on that one. But as far as Bitcoin's concerned, I think there's going to be a lot of positivity when we actually finally do see regulation coming out.
I agree. By the way, many of the other people that are big in the cryptocurrency space that have big names, have big wallets, and have big brains, have they sold Bitcoin? To your knowledge, Tim, has Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, Kevin O'Leary, any of these people, have they sold Bitcoin?
Well, I was on the phone with them last week. They hadn't, but something could have changed.
Yeah, I had brunch actually with Elon Musk yesterday, and I'm joking. I don't know Elon Musk, but I don't think, anyway, I could be wrong. Maybe something just came out. To my knowledge, none of these people have sold Bitcoin.
No.
What I do know is that many of them are still accumulating Bitcoin. Michael Saylor being a good example. A lot of people are saying, what if Michael Saylor gets margin called? What if Michael Saylor gets margin called? Maybe he invested more than he's willing to lose. Was Bitcoin founded on the back of Michael Saylor's wallet? No. Would it have a bad impact on crypto? Sure. If he got margin called. Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy own 150,000 Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's been on this channel. He would tell you the exact same thing. If he gets margin called, it doesn't make a dime of difference on what Bitcoin's value is. So what if he gets margin called? It drops the price. Why are we so worried about price? Let's understand the why, and price will come, my friends, but stop worrying so much about where the market is. Let me ask you this. If you're worried about where Bitcoin is right now, don't just ask yourself, why Bitcoin? Ask yourself, why are you scared? Where's the fear coming from? Are you finding your peace in money? I would encourage you not to do that, because you never will find peace in money. As somebody who's had a lot of money and has had no money, I can tell you right now, you will find peace in neither of those situations. If you were looking for peace in money because it's a fruit of the Spirit, you're not going to find your peace in money. I encourage you to look to Christ for that. As far as if you're scared of Bitcoin, though, if you're scared of it dropping, why? Are you worried because you're so focused on the price, or are you worried because you don't want other people to get hurt? Fair. That's something to be concerned about. One of the reasons that we're concerned about Bitcoin dropping is because we don't want you to get hurt. But as far as yourself, we're talking about ourselves. I'm talking about Jebb McAfee right now. Tim's talking about Tim Warren. You're talking about you. Why are you worried about yourself? Have you invested more than you're willing to lose? I might be worried on other people's behalf, but I don't believe I've invested more than I'm willing to lose. I want to make sure that I stay in that position, because then it's very easy to be fearful when something does go bad. So let's talk about some fundamentals. Crypto's total market capitalization slips below $1 trillion as Bitcoin drops under 24,000. As you can see over here on CoinMarketCap, it's currently trading at $970 billion. Let me just give you a little bit of a historical snapshot, as they are called on CoinMarketCap. Let's go back to as close to the time when I got into crypto as possible. I got into crypto July 31st, 2017. This is July 30th, 2017, because it took a snapshot every single week. At that time, we saw that total market capitalization on Bitcoin was $45 billion. Now, it doesn't look like it's actually going to give me a snapshot of the total market cap at that time. Looks like Dash was undergoing a little bit of a glitch right there. No, I take that back. It was all fine. The point is, it's not going to give me that data at the moment, but you can see Bitcoin was sitting at $45 billion. It was roughly 50% market dominance. So total market capitalization, when I got into the space, was roughly $100 billion. Ever since then, I have witnessed and documented on this channel Bitcoin going to $3 trillion. In fact, I can show you what it was as far as market capitalization back here in 2017. Let me just show you really quickly here so you'll see where it's come in the 5 short years that I've been in crypto. I have not been in crypto that long, guys. I've been in crypto almost half its lifespan, but I've not been in crypto all that long. If we come here to 2017, let me just find what I'm looking for here. We will see. I'm not as familiar with these charts as I used to be. Right here, July 31st, 2017. Market capitalization was at $90 billion. $90 billion. You thought that sounds like, is that a lot of money to you? I mean, that is, don't get me wrong. The $90 billion is a lot of money. In context, it's nothing. Crypto was $90 billion when I got into the space. Let me just show you what crypto was worth when this channel was founded, November 16th, 2017. When this channel was founded, November 16th, 2017, it was $200 billion. So you're telling me Bitcoin and crypto are down, Bitcoin's down 65%, total market cap down 75%, and we're still worth 5 times as much as when this channel was founded not even 5 years ago. Why are we so worried if we have 2 things? 1, a focus on the long term, and 2, a focus on the why of Bitcoin. If we have our focus there and we haven't invested more than we're willing to lose, then why are we scared? It's that simple. Tim, what are some of your thoughts on our market capitalization being below $1 trillion? Does that worry you?
No, I think we've said this before. I love how you did that, Jebb. I love how you went back to when you started the channel, and it hasn't even been 5 years. But this is something, again, you can say, hey, you know, these guys are young. Hey, these guys don't have experience. But listen to people who have been in the space for a while. That's how I've learned. That's how Jebb has learned, by listening and paying attention to people who have invested way longer than I've even been alive, who talk about, especially with these fundamental technologies that are amazing. They say you gotta wait 5 years before you really cast any judgment on your investment. Yep. It's really cool if in 1 year you go up 1,000x, but okay, after 5 years, what are you? Are you still positive? If you're negative, that probably isn't that great of a project. But after, and I know that's a long time. Nobody wants to wait 5 years. That's the other problem, Jebb, is that a lot of people in the crypto space, they want their gains now. And the minute they turn red, they freak out. But 5 years. 5 years is the true test of time to know, was this worth it or was it not worth it? And anyone in chat who has been invested in Bitcoin for 5 years or more, put it in chat. Let us know if you agree with that point, you don't agree with that point. I have not. I've been in now for a little over 2 years, so I still got 3 years before I can clearly say whether I thought that it was a win or a loss. But I can tell you right now, after 2 years, I bought in at 11,000. That is, I'm still in the profit. It's more than double at the moment. Might not be more than double here much longer. It looks like we could be getting down to 22. But here's the thing. I'm going to wait those 5 years. And I guarantee you, 5 years from now, people are going to be laughing and chuckling about the disagreement between, did they buy at 30 or did they buy at 27 or did they buy at 22? It's going to be like man, I'm just so glad I got in at those low levels instead of having to wait until we're at 300,000, 400,000. Maybe, who knows, with the way inflation's going, $1 million here in 5 years was not out of the cards with how inflation's going. No,
absolutely not. Here's the thing. Guys, Bitcoin is the future. It's that simple. Why are we so worried about that? By the way, okay, I think I've made that point. Let's keep going here. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of other fundamentals and headlines. I'm not going to go too much in detail on these because I really want to hammer home this point that Bitcoin has not changed. Bitcoin has not changed. Bitcoin has not changed. Its price has changed, but is Bitcoin its price? You know, people all the time say this. They say Bitcoin is $24,000. No. Bitcoin is financial sovereignty valued currently based on the market at $24,000. That's what we should be saying. Bitcoin is not $24,000. Bitcoin is the future. Bitcoin is financial sovereignty. Bitcoin is code. That system, that cryptocurrency is valued at $24,000 on the market right now. Corn is not $3 a bushel. I have no idea what the price is. Corn is a vegetable or a grain. I don't know what corn is. It's something, but it's not its price. That's just a value ascribed to it. Our net worth is not X, Y, or Z. Our net worth is in Christ. We just happen to have some money. Our net worth has nothing to do with money, and Bitcoin's value has nothing to do with its price. We have to get that out of our heads because we're looking at this thing in the completely wrong lens. Anyway, crypto lender Celsius, I could use a Celsius right now in those energy drinks. Those things are amazing. Halts withdrawals due to extreme market conditions. You guys can read this article. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. Just wanted to let you guys know, for anybody using Celsius, that is definitely going to be an interesting article for you to pay attention to. This is over on the Guardian/technology /2022 /June / I'm joking. I'm not going to read the whole URL. Let's go ahead and look at this also. You can see that there was a $500 million in liquidations going on. If we bring over coinglass.com, then I can show you this data on CoinGlass, which I believe is where this is being pulled from anyway. Liquidations on Bitcoin got absolutely redonkulous today, guys. Yesterday, actually, we saw $547 million in longs getting liquidated, $311 million in shorts getting liquidated. Biggest liquidation event that we've seen in a very long time. Larger than, almost as large as some of the liquidation events that we saw happen back here on May the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th as we were bottoming out. A lot of longs got liquidated. A lot of people bought the market before they were supposed to. And that, believe it or not, can actually be a good thing for Bitcoin, because it means that we are going to be able to hold on to this bottom with a lot more strength, because a lot of people that were overly bullish have now gotten what you might say is wrecked. And I'm not happy that anybody's gotten wrecked, but the point is that as people realize, hey, wait a second, not time to long, maybe I should hold off, they're going to be holding money on the sidelines, and when the bottom actually is in, then they will start moving in the right decision. Also, the Federal Reserve's rate hike is going to be Wednesday. Inflation was worse than expected. It was printing 8.6%. It was forecasted at 8.3%. It was 8.1% last month, year over year. What the Fed could do to appear hawkish to calm inflation fears is this. Jerome Powell could do two things here. Number one, he could mention that a 75 basis points and even a 100 basis point hike is on the table, although he's come out and said that that does not seem likely. So he'd be kind of going against what he said if he were to do that this time. We do expect a 50 basis point rate hike to come into play, and that should help to curb inflation, at least some. It will take a long time for that to implement, though. When you see a rate hike come in, a lot of times it can take 6 to 12 months for that to have a true impact on the inflation. We're seeing right now that supply chains are taking 2 years for inflation to run through the supply chains. May was talking about with us off camera last week that right now some people can go and buy a used car with 10 or 20,000 miles on it, and it costs more than a new car from the dealership, because the dealer is selling a car from the manufacturer who is using costs that were in the market 2 years ago, because it takes so long for raw resources to move through the supply chain that inflation hasn't caught up. It's going to take years for inflation to sort itself out. I do believe that it will. I'm not saying that the total collapse of the modern economy is coming, but I do believe that a lot of people are going to suffer in the next couple of years. And those that are in Bitcoin, I do think, are going to fare better, even if Bitcoin is down right now. So we're probably going to see a 50 basis point hike relatively soon, and that is definitely going to have an impact on Bitcoin, and it will probably be a bearish one. By the way, I do see what's going on with Bitcoin's price. It's currently sitting at $22,700. If we look at the weekly chart, we are getting dangerously close. I say dangerously as if it's a bad thing. It's a very good thing. To the bottom here that we have predicted for a long time at $22,500. In just the next 5 minutes, we could be sitting at $22,500, and then we shall see if we're going to drop below that moving average here on the weekly chart. Tim, do you have any final thoughts on the price and on the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, I think, we'll have that live show. So just in case anyone's wondering, we are going to be here live. We're Eastern Standard Time. So 2 p.m., we will have the reports that come out from the Fed, what their decision is on the interest rate. And then at 2:30, Jerome Powell will go live. We're actually going to go live probably around 2:10. So if you guys want to come in and hear our thoughts about that live as we respond, make sure you don't miss that. And we'll talk a lot more about that as we get a little closer, probably even more tomorrow. I know our time's kind of running short today. Here's what I'm going to say, my short take about what's happening with the Fed. This is absolutely ridiculous. We talked about it last month. I was the one that hosted that show. This is ridiculous. Remember when Jerome Powell said 75 basis points wasn't even on the table, and I was kind of saying, why wasn't it on the table? This is ludicrous. If you don't do things like this, you're going to hurt us long term. Sure enough, we're already a month later seeing the repercussions of him not being more aggressive. But what's even more interesting about what he said in that meeting, and I want to remind everyone, this is going to be really key, because a lot of reports out there are saying 75 basis points from the table. I've even saw one that said potentially a whole basis point is on the table. That would be ridiculously high. However, he told us in that meeting, guess what? I need multiple months before I even consider 75 basis points. So what I'm watching for is Jerome Powell going to contradict himself again and go back on that. And are we going to see a 75 basis point hike, which we probably should, but according to his word 1 month ago is not going to happen. I want to see what he says about that. Honestly, this is one of those things with Jerome Powell. He is in over his head. Whether he is whether he is just being tricked at every corner himself or whether he knows exactly what's happening, he's not telling us the truth. He's not been doing his job correctly. I'm interested to see what he says here on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Good deal. Well, I think we should go ahead and read some super chats, guys. Just keep in mind that what the Federal Reserve does on Wednesday and what they do throughout the rest of the year is going to be one of the biggest contributing factors to the price action of Bitcoin moving through 2022. But keep in mind, Bitcoin and gold's turn is right around the corner. People are starting to realize, hey, wait a second, this whole inflated currency thing is not working, and we need to look somewhere else. Where are they going to find it? Bitcoin. And by the way, for anybody who thinks gold is a successful currency under the parameter of whether or not it can store value, anybody who has been holding gold, bought gold 100 years ago, passed it down through the generations, or, hopefully is still alive, they've lost 80% of their value or more. Sure, it's outperformed the US dollar by how much? Bitcoin doesn't have that problem because it doesn't get inflated 2% a year like gold traditionally does. It can be inflated more than that. So gold is not an answer to long-term sustained wealth storage. It just does not work. And if you think that people, they're not making land anymore, well, they are developing more land, and we're getting more efficient farming practices. So it actually is possible to increase the amount of real estate that is being used in the world right now. So it's getting inflated too. You just can't measure it based on a supply in the same way you could gold and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only thing with a truly fixed supply, especially where a supply increase is decreasing as it goes. Let's read some super chats before we wrap it out. We got some really good ones here.
Yeah, and I know there are some questions even in chat that I want to make sure we respond to because people are asking kind of like, hey, so what are you saying we do now? But Kevin Graham said, this is looking more and more like the dot-com bubble. Compare the Amazon chart back then to the Bitcoin chart now. They are eerily similar.
Yeah, it's true. And Amazon ended up going through a lot of dropping. That being said, Amazon was a much smaller market back then than Bitcoin is right now. So I don't think you're going to see as big of a drop on Bitcoin as you did on Amazon back then.
Butch Ditburner said, Jebb, do you eat buffalo pretzels? They are pretty awesome.
Buffalo pretzels. I mean, I've never had them. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't.
Sounds interesting. I don't know.
I don't know if I've had those ones either. Let's see here. Party in backyard.
Party in backyard.
Jebb, let's make a rap song that would be fire.
Do you two know who that is?
No, no idea.
You genuinely don't know who Party in the Backyard is? They're the people that write those are the guys that do PewDiePie's songs. That's who that is. They're the ones that, if I remember right, you guys did PewDiePie versus Coco Melon. That's funny. I'm pretty sure you guys did a certain song about lasagna that I can't say the first word of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys were the ones that did that. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. These guys have an amazing channel, and you guys make some incredible music. So I would definitely be down for that.
Come on, that'd be awesome.
We can talk about it. Yeah, that would probably be great. Shoot us an email if you would at support@cryptojebb.com. We'd definitely love to talk to you guys about that.
Foofin, I'm assuming it's Foofin or Fuffin, said, thank you for taking the time to share your perspective, not only in crypto and finance, but on life and handling the not-so-great situations. I'm objectively better off for having found your channel.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Fuffin.
Yo, there's this one. Here's another one. I'm going to read one, and Jebb, I want to hear your response to it. And this is a negative one. I want you to respond to this well, but I want people to understand, hey, we are humans. We are not perfect about everything, but we will own our mistakes. So Chris Davidson, I want to give you a shout out. He said on January 25th, I super chatted in and said that when we lose the 50 SMA, we go down to the 200 SMA on the weekly. But Jebb thought that didn't make sense fundamentally for the price to go that low.
I didn't.
Yeah. So do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, no, I'll respond to it. I didn't think that it was fundamental. I didn't think that it made sense fundamentally. And frankly, it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense fundamentally. The question is, what is happening is that we are going down to the 200. And after I realized, and after I was proven that we were going into a bear market, the next thing I said was, yeah, we're going down to the 200 weekly SMA. I didn't feel confident to say, yes, we are going down to the 200 weekly SMA before we had confirmed that we were in a bear market. And the other thing to keep in mind is that it's very difficult to predict the long-term distant future, and we wanted to say that we wanted to make sure that we weren't giving people FUD, but we also want to make sure that we were preparing people. So at the time, no, I didn't think we were going to go down to the 200 weekly simple moving average. I expected that we would bounce a lot higher, But that's not what happened. And so you're right. Yes, we are currently sitting on the 200 weekly SMA. I do remember about 5-6 weeks ago thinking, oh, wow, yeah, I remember somebody saying we're going down the 200 weekly moving average. It looks like they might actually be right. And that might have been you. I don't remember who said it, but I do remember somebody talking about it.
There's been a couple people.
There's been a few people saying it.
I think the thing to remember is we are investors right alongside you guys. It's not like, Jebb, as much as people might think he is, Jebb is not one of the market callers. He's not sitting here he's not here controlling the price. We're investing and trading and doing everything right alongside you guys. And there's reasons to believe things at all turns. And guess what? The same way you guys need to do this, we have to do this as well. Sometimes you make a call and you make a prediction and you think something's going to happen based off of the information you have at the time. And someone else says the exact opposite and you say, okay, I disagree with you. Well, guess what? As more information comes out, it's okay to change your mind. In fact, especially when you're handling your money and you're dealing with your money, I highly advise you to constantly be in a place where you're willing to change your mind on the future. Otherwise, you will be stubborn and you will refuse to adapt as things change and you'll lose out. So, in fact, the best traders and investors are the ones who admit when they're wrong and they say, you know what, based off this new information that maybe someone else predicted and good for them, they called it earlier, but I wasn't ready there. I didn't have all the information I needed yet. Now I have my information. I'm ready to make the exact same call. So, Chris, I want to first of all say thank you so much for super chatting. Second of all, great call. It sounds like you are phenomenal. You're well on your way. That's what we want to see. We want to see more people like Chris who can look at the charts, who can look at the information and make these decisions for themselves rather than just saying, well, Jebb said so, so therefore it has to happen.
Absolutely. So guys, remember, 2 questions. 1, what perspective are you looking at? Short-term or long-term? Choose long-term. Thank me later. 2, are you thinking about the price more than you're thinking about the why of Bitcoin? Choose to think more about the why of Bitcoin. Thank me later, because these 2 things are some of the most important lessons that I've learned in going on 5 years in cryptocurrency. I looked it up. In 49 days, I will have had my 5-year anniversary of being in cryptocurrency, and I have watched some storms. By the way, I've watched some storms that are much worse than this one. So keep in mind that 5 years can change a lot, and make sure to have faith in the why of Bitcoin. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Make sure to check out Party in Backyard, by the way. That's awesome that they watch the channel. I am honored that they would give us a super chat. Guys, before we go, I do want to give you a word from one of our sponsors. They are Unstoppable Domains. They are decentralized, and once minted on the blockchain, nobody can take Unstoppable Domains from you. You can think of them as your Web3 keys and as your Web3 domains. You can even use your Unstoppable domain to send and receive crypto. It's safer, more convenient, less error-prone than copying and pasting your long wallet addresses. They're human-readable rather than having to copy and paste those long wallet addresses, and they make crypto more practical in a physical world. You can even host a decentralized website or an NFT gallery on them for free through the Unstoppable Domain Builder. Make sure that you sign up for your Unstoppable domain using the link in the description box down below, because you're not going to want to miss out on the future of Web3 with the domain of your choosing, because they're going to go fast in the same way they did in the late 90s. And you don't want to miss out on claiming your identity today. Make sure that you sign up with the link in the description box down below and get your domain now. We also have one more super chat. Rick4962 donated. Enjoy these discount price. God bless. God bless you too, my friend. Guys, that's all we got for you today. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media at CryptoJebb over on Instagram and Twitter, at CryptoJebbOfficial over on TikTok. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.